Good evening and welcome to our coverage of the National Basketball League competition. Tonight we bring you the clash between the Brisbane Bullets and the Canberra Cannons. And it's certainly shaping up to be a fiery confrontation. It's crunch time for the Brisbane Bullets, having lost to Coburg in their last match. They'll need to turn in a top performance tonight if they want to stay in the top six. Cal Bruton is nursing a sprained ankle sustained in that Coburg game and will be hard pushed in his match-up against Australian captain Phil Smythe. The Cannons field a formidable side. They look strong and have so all season. The big question is who'll guard Leroy Loggins? He scored 54 points last week and once again will be very hard to stop. Normally Herb McEachin plays the stop. This could be ex-Olympian Mal Dalgleish, All Entertainment Centre in Brisbane for tonight's big game, please.
Both the teams are on the court and we're just about to get underway.
Interesting that there's been an injury cloud over Chris McGraw, so soon starting, and we'll see the matchups early on. There's the first steal of the game, and that is Phil Smythe, the Australian captain.
So action right from the word go here at the Brisbane Entertainment Centre, and the Brisbane Bullets on defence. Inside to Crawford. He turns around, takes an S. If that's the way the game's going to work, it could be a big game for the Brisbane Bullets. Ron Radliff. Loggins out to John Dodge. There's Senstock. He was practicing that before the game. Probably could have done with a little bit more. Big Andy Campbell pulls down the rebound. And the Canberra Cannons come away with the ball. The general. There's the outside shot. Leroy Loggins with an easy rebound and quickly up the court.
Well, the Cannons, for a control side, certainly haven't wasted much time in getting the ball at the ring. But our matchups, we've got McEachin on Loggins. That's the way probably I would have done it. McEachin picks up an early foul.
Number 15 for the Mazda Cannons. Third McEachin with the foul called. And that'll
be an interesting matchup there. McEachin is known as their best defensive player. But if he gets into foul trouble, that causes problems because they also need his offensive output at the other end. And, of course, Leroy, certainly one of the most talented offensive players in the league. He'll take a lot of stopping. And the Bullets will be going to him as much as possible, I think, to try early on to loosen up the defense and get him into foul trouble.
Well, Leroy missed the first but made the second. And here we go. Rolls and rolls of toilet paper being thrown onto the court.
What's that ad they say about wherever you go, take your whatever it is? Yeah. Yes, well, I think that this was very well orchestrated by somebody. They all came out at the same time. Some of them aren't open. They come out there looking a little bit like soft bricks.
Actually, we should have a talk with the organiser. I wouldn't mind taking a couple of those home. You know, every dollar saved is a dollar saved. In fact, it's a very interesting theory floating around Brisbane not too long ago about toilet paper. You can actually work out your socio-economic standard by the colour toilet paper that you have in the loo.
Well, there must not be a rich person in all of Europe if that's the case. It's Leroy Loggins, McEachin staying with the matchup. Other interesting one, Crawford and Senstock guarding each other, and there'll be some banging going on there.
There's a holding foul called on at number 9, Mal Dalgleish, hanging on to Robert Sibley as Robert came around the top of the key.
Referees very early on, I think, establishing that this game is going to be called very, very tight early on. That's the way the referees should do it. Call it tight early and then let the play develop. If you start slack, it's like a school classroom situation. If you start off as a real nice guy, you really get buried by the end of the year. Same in a basketball game.
John Dodge looking for Ron Radliff. There's the free shot from the top. Basket does not go in, but there's the tip-in. The tip-in to John Dodge. He'll be happy about that. That'll give him the confidence that he needs.
I think Andy Campbell probably had a bigger piece of that ball than anybody else on the floor.
Try telling that to John Dodge.
He can't claim that 2 points.
Just a couple of minutes into the game and a Bullets hand to the ball. The Bullets 1 from 3 from the floor, 33%, the same as the Canberra Cannons. Phil Smythe setting the play up. Down low to Crawford. And that'll be a foul on Ron Radliff, 22 for the Brisbane Bullets.
Now that's what they have to do. They're obviously allowing Crawford to get the ball in. Now he's such an offensive power that they will have to double team him. The guard will have to come in and double team. And of course Radliff at his size, with his size disadvantage, it becomes very difficult. He's got to get the ball as Crawford's bringing it up, because once he gets it over his head, there's no way he can get to it.
3-all the score. parochial crowd trying to do its little bit to help, but to no avail, and the Canberra Cannons sneak off to a 1-point lead. Basketball's more than just 10 players on the court. It's crowd, it's noise, it's the chanting, the music, the signs. It's family entertainment at its best.
The commentators. Where would we be without commentators? Leroy Loggins tries a floater, and he's picked up another foul in there.
Holding foul called on
Herb McGeechan.
That's two on McGeechan. Now, how long can you let this go on? Herb, they're a very, very valuable player. 2 fouls very early on in the game, only 2.5 minutes gone. I think we'll see quickly that there'll have to be some sort of defensive change.
Well, I think coach of the Canberra Cannons, Bob Turner, will now give some consideration to Mel Dalglish, switching to Leroy.
There's nothing worse when you're a player to pick up an early foul. Your whole game just gets out of kilter and you become cautious.
By quarter the Bullets, 9 minutes and 30 seconds left in the first quarter. Driving all the way to the basket. That was easy. Herb McGeechan says thanks very much.
Very good screen set by Phil Smythe. He really is the consummate team player. He opened that path for McGeechan by blocking his defensive man. Legally, I might add, too.
There's Senstock with the outside jumper, 2 points. They'll be happy about that. The crowd like it as well. Phil Smythe quickly bringing the ball down the court for the Cannons, setting the play up. McGeechan, Crawford, looking for big Andy Campbell. Crawford driving the baseline. There's Campbell from the outside. And for a big guy, he made that look easy.
He's got real soft touch. You wouldn't call his shot picture perfect, but he really does have good soft touch. And if you let him set up and balance himself, he can knock those down.
That was good work from Robert Sibley to save that. Goes down to John Dorge. There's Sibley at the top again. That came off the Canberra Cannons player. So that's okay. Senstock again from the outside. And no one there to rebound it, and probably the shortest guy on the court, Phil Smythe, comes away with the ball. McGeechan around a couple of blocks. Out and in again. James Crawford with a big rebound. The ball goes out off Larry Senstock. The Cannons will take possession from the side.
Andy Campbell and John Dorge saying hello to each other under there early. Bit of flare of temper, a bit of a push and shove. You got to establish your presence around the key.
Crawford from low down, and Sibley pulling back a big rebound, but having it smacked out of his hand by Mel Dalglish. And justice done here. I heard the slap from here. So goodness knows what the refs were doing. Inside to Leroy. Larry Senstock drove through the middle. Everybody thought he was going to lay it up, including his teammates, but he passed off, and as a consequence, it didn't work. Phil Smythe sinks 3. The Cannons 11, the Bullets 7. Radliff.
Certainly the Bullets are turning the ball over a lot. That is, they're coming down the floor, losing the ball before you get a shot up. Brisbane not shooting quite as well, but they're getting a lot more shots at basket, and that is a very important statistic.
From the outside, Ron Radliff and the super long arms of Andy Campbell.
This is a mismatch.
James Crawford. He made that look easy.
It's got to be a terrible sight when you're a little guard and you're stuck nearly under the ring and you see somebody like Crawford coming out. A dipsy-doodle flying shot from Loggins.
Andy Campbell has the foul called on him. Leroy Loggins playing smart basketball early on in the piece. That's the first foul for Andy, but Leroy comes to the line yet again. This is the 3rd time.
John Dorge, I think, will have to be aggressive offensively and go at Campbell. He's a big man, but he is vulnerable sometimes in players that attack him directly. If you allow him just to sit back underneath the basket, the guards and everybody else, when they drive through, that's a big target for them to have to get over.
You were talking about turnovers before, Bill. The Bullets have turned it over twice. The Canberra Cannons have not turned it over at all. 9-13, Canberra Cannons lead by 4. Bill Smythe with Ron Radliff doing the defensive work. To Andy Campbell. James Crawford.
Intentional foul called on Robert Sibley. saying that he threw the elbow as Mel Dalglish tried to cut through the key. Again, we've seen this call a few times. It is a very strong penalty, an intentional foul. You get the 2 foul shots, plus you retain possession.
And the first substitution of the game has taken place. While that was happening, Robert Sibley taking a break. And Danny Morsu coming on. The Southern Comfort support squad yelling out support from around the 7,000 strong crowd. Try and sort of egg the team on.
And doing well. They need a bit of help at the moment. The Bullets really haven't got into sync yet.
What frightens me is this has happened a few times over the last few games.
Siesta time.
Big Andy Campbell loses it but regains it again. Phil Smythe has the ball outside. McGeechan. Inside to Crawford.
He traveled. Yep, no two ways about it. When he made his fake, he lifted up his pivot foot and then he attempted to dribble. It's funny, when you saw Andy Campbell try and dribble before, that's one thing I think a coach just cringe about when you see a 7-footer try and dribble. The time that it takes the ball to leave the hand, come to the floor and come back the hand, people can walk out of the stands and get to it.
Danny Morsu touching the ball for the first time. John Dorge from the outside having a shot.
Phil Smythe would be nearly the leading rebounder in the game. He's doing a great job. Athletic move by Crawford. He's spectacular even when they don't go in. This will be a foul. And Dorge and Campbell again are mixing it up.
Not too sure who the foul was called on there. In fact, Ron Radcliffe had the foul called. That's Ron's second foul. However, he saved the basket. Cannons from the outside. Crawford once again trying to shoot that. Passed it right out to Herb McGeechan.
And that's going to be on. They surrounded Crawford with 4 players that time. Somebody's going to be open from medium range, and that time it was Herb McGeechan. They really should just stop the ball getting into Crawford if they can. And
Mal Dalglish has taken on Leroy Loggins, and at the moment is doing it well. The Cannons fast breaking, settling down. James Crawford. Dalglish. There's a holding foul called.
Phil Smythe, a moving screen. Of course, if you're going to step into a defensive player's path, you then have to be stationary in most cases. If you move into him, that player has a right to go anywhere he wants unless you're stationary, and Phil Smythe was caught moving as he set that block. Radcliffe, that was a tough shot.
A great shot.
Phil Smythe was all over that shot, and Radcliffe just pulled it back over his head and flipped it in.
4 minutes and 50 seconds left in the first quarter. 17-11 to the Canberra Cannons. Dalglish.
Foul called on Leroy Loggins that time, slapping. Not a good foul to pick up for Leroy. He might have got the ball, but he was more likely, even if he got the ball, that the referees might have detected him for a slap anyway, and that's what you call a cheap foul, and again, that's what makes coaches go gray.
Not too sure whether the foul was caught on Leroy or Danny Morsu then. We'll check. Both of them have got the same coloured singlets on. That's another couple of points to the Cannons. 19 now, plays 11. Larry Senstock from outside. Passes inside to Danny Morsu. That was strong. And there was the tip-in from Senstock that didn't go anywhere. Morsu grabbed the rebound and just drifted out of his hand into the bucket for 2. Herb McGeechan out to Phil Smythe. Dalglish calling Smythe around. There's the free shot from the outside that you were talking about before, Bill. Morsu with the rebound. That was a great rebound from Dalglish.
Shot came a little bit too early. Larry, of course, the best rebounder. He shot before there was anybody else underneath the basket, and if he missed, it was odds on that the Cannons were going to get the ball. As much as possible, you want to try and give yourself a chance to get a second shot.
It's inside, but Leroy Loggins makes the steal. It's 3-on-2. There's the shot from Leroy, and that's Leroy Loggins' shot.
7 points. I don't know why they call him legs Loggins. I reckon he could just as easily be called arm Loggins. You think you have that ball over his head, and all of a sudden the elevator arms come out. He all of a sudden looks like the height of the basket.
He's one of the few guys that can scratch his kneecaps without bending. He's got long arms. It's inside to James Crawford, who was free. And James Crawford uncharacteristically misses. There's the quick pass down to Radliff. Radliff. Senstock to Leroy Loggins.
Off the glass, great pass. That's better for the Bullets. They look like they're generating their up-tempo game, and they certainly have pegged back the Cannons with a couple of quick offensive thrusts.
And that was pretty to watch. It's outside to Herb McGeechan. He makes 2. 21 plays 17, but all of a sudden the Bullets have come alive. There's Leroy again.
Foul's called on Dalglish.
And I think that if the Cannons are going to continue this, they're going to find themselves in trouble. They're working very hard on Leroy, but it's costing them, and there's 2 minutes and 30 seconds left in the first quarter.
Well, I think the way you have to guard Leroy is that you have to take one direction away from him and double him up as soon as he puts the dribble down. It's too great a task for any man to go one-on-one with him. He's got too many moves. That first stride is so long. Unless you have perfect timing and anticipation, he's by you.
Well, he's been to the line a few times already tonight. That makes 6 from 7. He missed the first.
He's got 10 points now, so he's the first player to hit double figures.
The crowd tells you what happens. 21 to the Canberra Cannons, 19 to the Brisbane Bullets.
Substitutions, 2 in for Canberra. Jamie Kennedy, number 4, with the ball. Simon Cottrell, the Australian player, number 14, with the ball now. Cottrell, well, that's the way you get into the game quick, I guess. It's the first time you touch the ball, shoot it. If it goes in, you're in for a good night. And if it doesn't go in, you know the coach is going to be very angry at you, because you usually like to play into the game. Loggins again.
The Canberra Cannons have got great strength on the bench, haven't they? It doesn't just finish with the first 5.
That's right. That's one of their great advantages, that they can wear teams down. Their starting 5 can go. Even if they're behind, they just keep shuffling players in. And they usually keep 3 players on the court all the time that are relatively fresh. And that's a hard thing to do.
Leroy Loggins to Morsu. Loggins. Inside to McGraw.
Nice. That was easy. McGraw. That wasn't that easy. That looked easy, but it was a turnaround, one-hand little jump hooker from the baseline. There wouldn't be many that shot that with too much accuracy.
There's a foul called on Chris McGraw. So at one end he makes 2 points. At the other end he's all of a sudden the bad guy.
Well, at least he stopped James Crawford from getting in there and making a sure to. He makes him earn it from the 15-foot charity stripe now. Crawford, at the moment, has 6 points.
And 2 from 2 from the line. Make that 3 from 3.
Canberra now over the team foul limit, so this is a one-on-one situation. Again, if Crawford had missed that first shot, he wouldn't have got the second one, but as he hit it, he now gets the second one, and he hits both ends of it.
23 plays 21, a minute 50 left in the first quarter.
Tim Morrissey now also a promising young Australian squad member. He's going after Loggins. Morrissey's known to be a bit fiery. He'll get right up and harass Loggins like crazy.
What a great pass inside to Senstock. Unfortunately, it came off Senstock's shoulder after being diverted by a Cannon hand. So the Cannons come away with the ball. Bill Smythe.
Defense, defense. The crowd remembers what happens last week, so they're bolstering up that game. But again, if you let Crawford get the ball in that position, you're asking for trouble. I believe they must spend more effort trying to stop him getting the ball.
Radliff. It's a lot of movement going on down there. Trying to get the man free, Danny Morsu. The Bullets have a shooting percentage of 44%. The Cannons 50% at this stage. There's Senstock inside. And it just bounces around the top of the ring and unfortunately bounces the wrong way. Bill Smythe.
Both teams have remained in their man-to-man defense for the whole game. Crawford again getting the ball inside, and it's either going to be a foul or 2 points most times. I think you have to play in front of Crawford, stop him getting the ball. If they try and throw the pass over the top, get a defense, slip a defensive man in behind him and sandwich him.
Here's the foul on Larry again. Watch this. He gets the 2. He goes to the line. Crawford 4 from 4. super reliable.
13 points now for Crawford. He's the game's highest scorer. And he's going to keep scoring until they make some defensive adjustments on him.
The band strikes up. Larry Senstock going along the baseline with number 11, Tim Morrissey, pulls the rebound down.
Strong rebound from Morrissey. He really got up there amongst the Giants and pulled down an excellent rebound. And again, Crawford's value, we could see at the other end. Sinstock went up for the shot. You see Morrissey pulling down that rebound, but he was pretty well set up for that shot. And all of a sudden, this big hand of Crawford's came out into space, made Larry change the shot in midair. And of course, as soon as you do that, it lowers your percentage.
And that foul sends the Cannons to the line again. First one goes in, he gets a second. At one stage, it was 21 apiece. The Cannons have scored 8 straight. Make that 9, and all of a sudden we've got a 9-point split, 20-odd seconds left in the first quarter. And how many times have we seen the Brisbane Bullets down at the end of the first quarter, having to make hard yakka of it in the second and third? Can they do it again tonight against this powerful team?
They seem to have lost their focus. They want to go to somebody, make the defense adjust, and if they do, find the open man. Loggins always seems to be able to get himself open. He's fouled by Morrissey that time.
And once again, Leroy Loggins will go to the line. He's been to the line a few times already. 8 seconds left in the first quarter. The Cannons have scored the last 9 points, as I mentioned.
Coach Brian Krill having a very good word with one of the referees. That's referee Atkin out there. I don't know what he was saying, but he was gesticulating as to if to say everything's not right with the way you're doing the game.
That one didn't even hit the sides. Pretty to watch, Leroy. 8 from 9.
12 points.
8 from 10. And there's almost the steal from Larry Senstock. Slapped it out of his hands.
5 seconds to go. They'll be working for the shot. Cottrell tries a bit of a hope shot. They could have worked for a better shot. They had a chance to make another pass. As it is, there's a bit over 2 seconds remaining, and the Bullets may get a chance at a 50-footer here.
Let's see what happens with 2.5 seconds left to go.
It's away. Oops, no, not enough time for that.
There's the shot from Leroy. A great little shot too. You couldn't do it any other time in the game, but you can do it with 3/4 of a second left. The first quarter in the game, the Brisbane Bullets playing the Canberra Cannons at the Brisbane Entertainment Centre sees the Cannons 30, the Brisbane Bullets 22. We'll take a break and be back with the National Basketball League in just a moment.
Look out, because here come the West End 36ers. The 36ers know only one way to play the game, and that's to play their hearts out. Every game's one step closer to the national finals. And this year, look out, because here come the 36ers. The West End 36ers. Come and see them in action at Apollo Stadium.
Welcome back to the Brisbane Entertainment Centre, the National Basketball League on TVO. The game, the Canberra Cannons playing Brisbane's own Bullets. And the scoreline reads 30 to the Canberra Cannons, 22 to the Brisbane Bullets. And the first quarter didn't get off to the best of starts for the Bullets. They had a patch in the middle where things seemed to come right. But in the space of a couple of minutes, the Cannons scored 9 points straight. And as we're just about to start the second quarter, the situation is that they're eight points ahead. Let's have a look at a great shot here from Ron Radliff, who passes inside to Senstock, and Senstock with a hook shot that misses, but the rebound taken, and in it went for 2. One of the better moves in the first quarter. Chair girls leaving the court. The percentage of field shots makes for interesting reading after the first quarter. The Brisbane Bullets perhaps not quite as happy with the way things have gone that they would like to be. Just have to wait and see what happens for the second quarter. Larry Senstock, the Brisbane Bullet captain, will have all his mind on tonight's game, despite the fact that tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock, he's on his way to Spain.
They're shooting foul shots at the moment. Phil Smythe has got a foul shot. The only thing I can think would happen is after the quarter buzzer went, there was a technical foul called on the Brisbane bench. I think Brian Krill might have said one too many words. So in that situation, they start the quarter with those 2 foul shots that Phil Smythe put in. Now we officially started, so 2 points are scored even before the quarter starts.
Here we go. 31 to the Cannons, 22 to the Bullets. The tip-off won by James Crawford, and the Cannons come down. There's the outside shot. 3 points to start off with.
Jamie Kennedy, he can do that all night long. He's got to set his feet, but once he does that, he is a deadly outside shooter.
Sandstock inside to Danny Morsu. The foul called on James Crawford. Crawford is not happy about that.
Brian Krill pacing up and down. I think he's a little bit anxious in front of this immense crowd to get the Bullets performing well. Sometimes when the coach shows a little anger, it comes through the teeth. Leroy Loggins never shows any aggression at all. He just does it.
That man is so laid back, I'm surprised that he's got legs. He doesn't need them. Smythe. To number 11, Morrissey. There's a foul called on Danny Morsu. I think even he would admit that that was a fair foul.
Well, it was a foul. It was fair that the foul was called.
Love Danny's haircut.
Yes,
Helicopter
a little Carl
landing
Lewis
plan.
job. Smythe again. There's a lot of good screening that goes on the Cannons. They got him low. They double him up. There's the open man. Kennedy again. He misses this one, but it's very dangerous if you let that ball get into Crawford in the low post. Somebody will be open sometime.
The Cannons just tap it back out to Phil Smythe, and it's action again. Morrissey.
Left-hander turned to his right shoulder, and that was a very, very tough shot and hard to guard. It's very hard sometimes to adjust the left-handers. You're used to them turning onto their right hand, and it takes a while to warm up to the fact that which way they turn. Loggins, he'll turn anyway as long as the ring's around. Sinstock, off the glass.
Off the glass for 2.
He should have called it, I'm not sure.
We'll give him the benefit of the doubt there. He's not smiling. That's another 2 to the Bullets, 26 to the Bullets, 37 to the Canberra Cannons. What an amazing pass that was. As a scramble for it.
Oh, and great pass off Radliff on his ass. And beg your pardon. That was a great play.
An Americanism. We'll let that one slip, Bill. Phil Smythe.
It's not as bad as what you were talking about a couple of weeks ago.
Morrissey. And the crowd doesn't know whether they should yell, keep quiet, or do what.
There's some pretty heavy body checking going on out there. Crawford from the outside, he found the range.
You cannot let that man just shoot like that.
Just can't let him have the ball. He's just too dangerous.
In fact, he shouldn't be on the court. We should send him home and ban him from playing in Brisbane. There's an elbow being thrown, and I think Danny Morsu looking for some place to rest his elbow.
Well, the game now 11 points the difference. Canberra has the ball again. Again, that was an example of a turnover, this time through a foul, but they didn't get a shot on that trip down the floor. And it really is very important that every time you get possession of the ball, at least you get a shot. And the Bullets certainly haven't done that so far this evening.
I have this horrible feeling that things aren't quite going right for the Brisbane Bullets. They've made another couple of substitutions. John Dorge is back on, as is Robert Sibley. And the whole centre's just a little quiet at the moment. There's the shot, hands to it. But if the Bullets aren't going to rebound underneath there, that's going to be easy. Simon Cottrell says thank you. He'll have 2. Larry Senstock starting from about halfway up the court with that layup. Unfortunately, it didn't do what it was supposed to do. Herb McGeechan brings it down the other end and just plonks it through for 2.
I think that the Bullets really need to call a timeout here. The momentum is so much in the favor of the Cannons. They just need something to settle in. Maybe try a new defense. Maybe try something different. But as it is, Loggins is the only man that it really looks likely to put the ball in the basket.
There's the quick pass down to James Crawford. Radliff comes away with that. And there's a foul called on number 11, Tim Morrissey, who acknowledges the foul. Would have been a short 2 points if that hadn't happened. Watch this again.
Yes, the Bullets are certainly missing the outside shooting of Cal Bruton. There's no 2 ways about it. They really cannot find a consistent scorer besides Leroy. The other team realizes this, so they're putting a lot of pressure on Leroy.
Ron Radcliffe hasn't managed to get himself free on enough occasions to do any damage. John George with the rebound. That didn't do anything. However, Senstock ended up with it. He just flicked it inside to Robert Sibley, who made the 2 points. 43 to the Cannons, 30 to the Bullets. They're 13 down. That was a great pass that was supposed to go to Crawford. Larry Senstock managed to get that one. Loggins again. And there's a foul called on number 14, Simon Cotterill.
Foul called on Simon Cotterill.
Leroy walks to the line.
You see Cotterill, once Leroy, the offensive player, has left the ground, if there's nobody in his path when he leaves the ground, nobody can get into his path. And what happened there is as Loggins drove in on his left hand, he left the ground, and Cotterill just moved into his path.
And as you said quite rightly, it was time for a timeout, and Brian Call has called that. We'll take a timeout as well. Be back in just a moment. Welcome back to the National Basketball League. It's the Brisbane Bullets playing the Canberra Cannons, and the bad news for Bullets fans is that the Bullets are down 13 points. The Cannons 43, the Bullets 30. Brian Curl has called the first timeout of the game, and I would think that it was some harsh words said at that timeout, Bill.
Well, he needs to get some spark from the Bullets. They really just seem to be drifting up and down the floor. He needs some other players to participate in the offensive end. He needs a three-pointer or two from Ronnie Radcliffe. He needs some banging. I see he's put Tom Gerhardt in. Just something to give them some spark, some sort of physical attack that they can make at the Cannons.
George at the top. They'll leave him free there. Tom Gerhardt. And there's Leroy again. And big Andy Campbell, who's back on for the Cannons, just reaches his 18 feet hands into the air and just plucks that one out. Dalglish. Kennedy. Dear, oh dear, if you're going to let him if you're going to just let him stand there like that, he deserves to make the 3 points.
He's 2 for 2 from outside the three-point line, and they really need a spark now. I really believe they have to get somebody going inside. They're doing everything from the perimeter. They need somebody to force the basket up. Who's the foul on that time? The foul's on Jamie Kennedy. And it was not a shooting foul, so the Bullets will inbound from the side. Here we see
Cal Bruton just
Kennedy working for position.
And now the stadium comes alive as Cal Bruton makes his first appearance on the court for the Bullets. Cal, of course, suffering from an ankle injury that he received in last week's game. There's some doubt as to whether he could even make it on the court here tonight, because, of course, he leaves tomorrow morning to go to Spain.
He's quickly got into this into the action, picking up a foul there, Cal Bruton. But really, Bruton on one leg, they still can use him if he's going to be able to zero in on a few shots. They need some offensive strength out there.
On that replay, it looked like Cal was standing still.
Well, it'll take some time, I think, for it to loosen up a little bit. But the Cannons at the moment are 4 for 5 from the three-point line, and they've had a very good inside game from James Crawford, so they got it both going. At the moment, the Bullets really are all they're getting is from what Loggins has generated with his one-on-one moves.
Cal Bruton to George to Leroy. Leroy calling the play, telling them what he wants. John George dribbling, driving. Good night.
That's what you have to do. You have to attack the big man. Make him work on his mobility a little bit. That was a nice drive by George, and there's more of that coming if he's prepared to do it.
I have never seen John do that before, and he can do it.
Oops.
It's okay.
Fancy footwork there, I thought.
That McGeechan from outside and free takes 2 points.
10 points now to McGeechan, so he and Crawford top the scoring total. Crawford with 15, McGeechan with 10.
John George again to Leroy Loggins to Cal. Inside to George, who doesn't quite get both hands to it. As a consequence, Andy Campbell manages to knock it out of his hands, and the Cannons come away with the ball. And once again, the Brisbane Bullets don't even get an opportunity to have a go at the basket. Once again,
Arms Loggin.
You were talking about that before, Bill, and he's done it yet again. Here he goes. He'll go all the way here. And there's the tap from John George.
He's on fire. 6 points now. It's so deceptive with Loggins because he's down. You think there's all that space above his head to pass into, and all of a sudden, just no way. Shop's closed.
Andy Campbell passes it. And once again, there's another steal.
Cal Bruton shut that one loose. Can he finish it? This will be very important to the Bullets.
Yes.
You beauty, Cal.
49 to the Canberra Cannons, 37 to the Bullets.
Just what the doctor ordered.
Dalglish. Another one. The magic of Cal Bruton.
Foul's called on Mel Dalglish. Tom Gerhardt practices a freebie at the other end. Sorry, Tom, it won't count. That's 14 fouls now on Canberra, so they get into the penalty foul situation.
What happens with each quarter, if the team has more than 4, then the other team, which has possession of the time, goes and has a couple of goes.
1 and 1.
Assuming the first goes in, they get a second.
With Loggins, that's pretty much money in the bank. 15 now to Loggins.
And the Bullets quietly pegging back the points and doing it exactly at the right time. If the Bullets manage to get away with this one, we can look for the middle part of the second quarter as having saved them.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if you see the Bullets have gone into zone defense, not trusting Cal's mobility to chase Phil Smythe around, so they've gone into a big zone, trying to force the outside shots and trying to cut off the inside basket. McGeechan, gee, he's shot well this first half. Be interesting to see his statistics.
39 to the Bullets, 51 to the Cannons. Robert Sibley, John Dorge. Andy Campbell with yet another foul. And John Dorge, be happy about that. Look at this again. Whoopa.
Yes, well, once you're up in the air, of course, that could actually, if Campbell had jumped straight up and Dorge had moved in underneath him, that would have been an offensive foul, but Campbell didn't jump straight up. He jumped forward, and that's why when Dorge faked, that contact was Campbell's fault.
They're going for the ball, and they call a jump ball. John Dorge picking up the player and the ball.
Crawford back into the game so that the Bullets will see how good their defensive revival is now if they can hold down Crawford. But I've been very impressed with how Bob Turner's rotated his players in and gotten value out of all the players he's brought in. Brian Crill's also tried to rotate his players in and has got them in the game, but really hasn't had much result from his substitutions.
I think it's probably a shrewd move on Bob Turner's part to take Campbell out at this stage because he's getting knocked around just a little bit. That certainly won't happen with James Crawford out there. Sibley driving.
Oh, the crowd was willing that one in. That was a good drive from Sibley. He really went up. He wasn't intimidated by Crawford at all. Went by him, held in the air, twisted around.
Here it is again.
Watch this drive. Fake to the inside, goes up in the air, drifts by the defensive player and collects one for his trouble, but he'll get 2 foul shots.
And you can almost feel the atmosphere as the crowd wishes it in.
They should have wished harder. Sinstock, maybe he can fulfill their dreams, and he does.
That's why Larry is away to the World Championships in Spain. 10-point split, 51-41. There's the big pass. John Dorge rips down the rebound.
He's gaining in confidence.
Oh, dear. Cal Bruton looked like he was about to shoot. Passed off to Sibley. Sibley not quite quick enough to get his hands to it.
Bullets are only shooting 28% from outside the key, and that's pretty poor, especially when Canberra's knocking down every other shot from outside the key. Phil Smythe with a three-pointer, can't find it. Sinstock with a rebound. The Bullets need to get a good shot up, and probably wouldn't mind seeing a three-pointer go down at this stage.
4 minutes left in the second quarter. The Canberra Cannons 51, the Bullets 41. The guys who've come on from the bench have scored a few points. The Bullets bench players have scored 7, but the Cannons bench players have scored 13. There was the drive. And
charging foul, yes. But that was another turnover again at the other end of the court. Simon Cottrell read that pass. It was telegraphed. He came around from behind. Morrissey tries to do a bit too much. Sibley standing there. One of those close calls again. Who's the foul, on offense or defense? And this time the decision was the foul was on the offense, and the Canberra Cannons call a timeout.
Bob Turner just having a quiet word to the lads. We'll take a commercial break and be back in just a moment. The National Basketball League, the Brisbane Bullets playing the Canberra Cannons at home at the Brisbane Entertainment Centre. And with 3 minutes 49 left in the quarter, it's 51 to the Cannons, 41 to the Bullets. And both coaches just having a word with the teams at the moment to see how it's happening. Here was the fast break that Cal Bruton made right at the start when he first came on in his first three-pointer. And that must have been encouraging for him. He tried it one other time but passed off to Robert Sibley. And unfortunately, Sibley couldn't hang on to it.
I think even for Cal's confidence, of course, it's very important, but I think it was more important just for the morale of the Brisbane team. They were flagging a little bit. Cal's back. Cal hits his first shot. Cal's going to help us out now, and that sort of support is hard to measure.
And even the crowd, the 7,000 odd here at the Entertainment Centre, loved it when Cal Bruton came back onto the court. Oh, John George with
he had a freebie too. He just had a practice shot. Cottrell again fouled him. Cottrell's really trying to get to that pass into the low post, and I think the Cannons have been more aware of stopping that pass in close to the basket than has Brisbane on defense. He picked up a foul that time, but at least it was the right idea. You can't let the ball get down to that low post position.
John George makes the first one this time. He'll get the second. 3 minutes 36 left in the quarter. John George 1 from 2. 2 from 3. Phil Smythe bringing it down for the Cannons.
8 points now to George.
Kennedy. A shot from outside. Senstock pulls down a powerful rebound. And the Bullets up the court quickly.
Oh, that's nearly a four-pointer, that one.
Did you see from how far away he shot that?
That's what I said, a four-pointer. I reckon they need to change the rules.
Unbelievable.
They're trying to make big men out of date in this game with that three-point shot.
Cal Bruton again. There's the intercept, and here comes the stuff. Oh, dear.
Loggins, look at him stay with it, but Smythe picks up another rebound. Loggins chasing him all the way down the floor. There's contact and the foul called on George.
That was unfortunate for John George.
Isn't that an amazing athletic effort? Look at Leroy chasing the general down. He missed 2 shots. He was off balance, but he still played the game from coast to coast, and he's one heck of an athlete.
Phil Smythe to Herb McGeechan. Jamie Kennedy. Leroy's got him sorted out. McGeechan. Phil Smythe down to James Crawford. And Larry Senstock will get another rebound. Senstock's been responsible for some great rebounds. Cal Bruton. There's the shot again from Cal. And all the Brisbane Bullets were underneath the basket, and as a consequence, the ball just bounced right out over the top, and there was no way in the wide world that they were going to get that. And there's another foul called on John George. I'd like to see that again. The crowd doesn't like it. Watch this.
Is he set? Is he set? Oh, I think that was probably a good call, because it looked to me like George kept moving across into the path as the contact was being made. It's not a popular call, though.
Telling me nothing.
I can hear those boos through those headsets.
Jamie Kennedy can as well, but it doesn't make any difference. 2 from 3.
It's all right. A bit of perceived conflict out there just gets the crowd going even better.
3 from 4. 53 to the Canberra Cannons. 46 to the Bullets. However, they pulled back quite a few of the points that they were missing.
Well, they got back within 5, and that was quite... they'd done that sort of quietly, and... that foul shot sequence might have broken down their momentum just a little bit.
Down low to Robert Sibley. Out.
Don't like the ball getting in there from a defensive point of view. Charge called on Sibley. Trying to move against the quicker Smythe. Smythe anticipated his baseline turn and was there, and Sibley had nothing to do but run right over him.
Ron Radliff coming on for the Bullets now.
It was an offensive foul. Both teams, of course, in the penalty foul situation, but when you're in control of the ball and you foul on offense, you don't get the one-on-one shots.
Robert Sibley at 6.5 foot goes off, and Ron Radliff comes on. A bit more speed outside. There's the big drive from number 14.
That'll go down in the all ugly shot book. Sinstock, he's called with the charge, so that they seem to be into that one tonight.
The crowd don't believe it either. Larry Sinstock doesn't believe it.
Brian Curl is pacing after the referee.
Is that a new sign that Brian just gave us with 3 fingers in the air?
I don't know, but it's 3 times as powerful as the normal one, isn't it? Or a third again as power as the Australian one, but I think he was saying that's 3 charges in a row that they've picked up. Always a controversial call.
Larry Sinstock, as I mentioned before, has been rebounding exceptionally well. He has 9 rebounds for the game, but 7 of them are in this quarter alone. Minute 33 left in the quarter. The Canberra Cannons have 53 on the board. The Bullets have 46. Kennedy to Smythe. John Dorge got a hand of that. Ron Radcliffe decided that Herb McGeechan was as good to pass it to as Leroy Loggins.
I think they might have called that foul again on John Dorge.
Foul called on John Dorge.
Yeah, another one.
Points out the James Kennedy by the shot.
Kennedy has 3 from 4 from the line. He still has 3 from 4. Now
He
John
has
Dorge
3
is...
for 5.
Beg your pardon? 3 for 5.
He just missed one.
Oh, it was close.
1 minute to go. The Bullets looking to try and get something going for themselves. They don't seem to be playing their offense with a whole lot of purpose at the moment. Loggins is the man that needs to see the ball. And Loggins got the ball, and Loggins showed why he should get the ball.
He was free that time. He had all the time in the world to pop it up.
It's interesting. As hard as the defense plays, it's just amazing how sometimes you see a player just all alone. And that's usually a sign that there's a lot of help in the offensive pattern elsewhere. That is good screening.
John Dorge, quick pass to Cal Bruton, to Leroy Loggins. And Leroy's missed a couple close in like that. Interesting to see what happens here.
Cottrell with 2 points.
Nothing John Dorge could do about that.
Something was thrown on the floor. The referee's just temporarily stopping the game. And the crowd complaining because when Crawford pulled down that rebound and outletted the ball, Cal Bruton stepped in front of him and he just got run over, but the referees were looking at the play up the court.
There's the big outside shot from Larry Sinstock, and it goes in.
I get the feeling that there's a little bit of rivalry, personal rivalry developing. That's a 3-pointer just on the halftime buzzer, but it doesn't make it. And that was an interesting first half.
Very interesting, and the halftime score sees the Canberra Cannons ahead by 7. They were ahead by considerably more earlier on in the quarter, so I guess that can be considered a good quarter for the Brisbane Bullets, but the Canberra Cannons have 57 and the Brisbane Bullets have 50. It's halftime here in the ball game. The Cannons playing the Bullets at the Brisbane Entertainment Centre. We'll take a break. And
the United States, Renee's.
Let's go with the ball game. The start of the third quarter. The Brisbane Bullets playing the Canberra Cannons at the Brisbane Entertainment Centre. The Bullets are down 7, but Larry Sinstock makes that down 5 by scoring a good 2 points straight on the start of the third quarter. And here we go, toilet paper again.
Somebody's got a good concession going outside this stadium. There's nothing sure. It's interesting to see that the Bullets have gone with a small starting lineup. They've started Bruton and Radcliffe together and Loggins, so that they obviously are opting for speed, and I think that that's an obvious effort to try and raise the tempo of their play.
I'm not too sure whether this is a great idea or not, throwing all that toilet paper on the court.
Oh, I think at the start of the half or the start of the game, you wouldn't want to see it happening every time the Bullets scored. I suppose if you were the sorbent people, you'd be wrapped. You're quick, Gary. Quick.
Well, they say that... No, I won't say that either. Get myself into trouble. My mother could be listening.
Can you get banned in Queensland for saying bad things on the air?
You certainly can. The Canberra Cannons come away with the ball. Phil Smythe. Cal Bruton starting out the second half. Andy Campbell. He could get a job as a rugby union post. James Crawford.
Great defense by Sinstock. Yes,
Top defense.
Didn't get the follow shot, but he made Crawford change his shot. Campbell working on Dorge. Another rebound to the Cannons, so this is their third time that this series they've got a chance to shoot.
And let's hope that the Brisbane Bullets are fired up for this third quarter. This is important for them. Dalglish. McGeechan. Campbell inside to Dalglish, the free shot. Larry Senstock got a hand to it, so Dalglish will go to the line. Third foul for Larry Senstock, and there's still 11 minutes left in the third quarter. Senstock responsible for that foul. Dalglish to the line. Swish. 57, 58, 52.
Actually, that was interesting the way Mal Dalglish got open that time. Leroy Loggins was trying to play around in front of him to stop him getting the pass, and he sort of nudged him away as he went to the basket and got wide open. Senstock had to help out.
Leroy with the ball. And hands go left, right, and centre, but the Cannons come away with the ball.
They're a pretty cool mob, the Cannons. They just go about their work in a very unflappable manner. Very efficient. Go to your strengths. There's one of them. James Crawford, 17 now in the game.
61 plays 52. The Bullets behind. The crowd having difficulty getting itself organised here tonight. Papers in Brisbane for the last week have been full of news of the Brisbane Bullets and how important it is for them to win here tonight. There's John George with the second tapping of the game. That was a good one.
10 points to George now, so they're starting to get some other offensive input. Senstock with 12, George with 10, and Loggins has 18. So that's a bit better at the offensive end, but they've got to also stop the Cannons at the other end, and the Cannons with their efficient, relentless offense seem to always get people over. Great screen by Campbell. Good tackle on Campbell by Bruton, and Loggins gets out of it with the ball.
Ron Radliff felt that too.
He did, boy. He, at his size, I mean, he's collecting Campbell's knees in his kidney area.
Senstock to Radliff. Radliff's free out there. He finds Bruton, who's also free. Bruton doesn't make it. Phil Smythe with yet another rebound. James Crawford at 90,000 miles an hour bumps straight into Cal Bruton, has a foul called on him. That's a foul to James Crawford.
James' probably better option that time was just to slow up a little bit. He had a teammate coming down on his left-hand side. If he'd slowed up, he could have made Cal commit one way or another, and then either gone to the basket or dished off.
So Cal brings it back up for the Bullets. Bullets need to score here. There's Leroy. Thank you, Leroy.
20 points.
20 points for Leroy.
Phil Smythe very quickly bringing the ball up for the Cannons. It's down low to Crawford. Falling backwards as he shot that. As a consequence, it hit the front of the ring and the Bullets come away with it again. Senstock. Bruton inside to George. George lost it. And there's another foul called.
This time on Phil Smythe. I think that you can let Phil Smythe intimidate you a little bit. As good a defensive player he is, you just can't take yourself out totally of the game because you have a good defensive player. You have to keep testing and probing. Smythe nearly comes up with a good steal. And that's where he's best. He reads the game so well. He realized he could leave his man that time and not get punished.
Bruton looking for someone to pass it to, finds Radliff, he finds Leroy, and there's another foul called, this time on Mal Dalglish, and Leroy again to the line. And that's 4 on Mal, and that's trouble for Mal Dalglish.
We'll see it on replay here. Looked to me like he might have just slapped the ball away, but he clearly wasn't in good defensive position, and that's the risk that you do. If you aren't in good defensive position, you reach in to have a whack at the ball. Whether you hit the ball or you hit the arm, the referees many, many times will just see that as being a foul.
Leroy Loggins to the line has shot 10 from 12.
Let's see if he can get it right. Now, how many has he shot?
11 from, just a moment.
21 points.
11 from 13. 11 from 14.
Well done.
Thank you.
Bullets shooting 43%, so they're shooting about the same clip as they did in the first half, but the Cannons miserably are shooting 20%. But because of the fouling and their chance to go to the line, that the margins is just only one down as to what it was at halftime.
Inside to Campbell, the big man. Goes right through James Crawford's legs. It's a great pass off from Ron Radcliffe to Larry Sandstock. The Bullets are now just 2 behind. Well, now the crowd comes alive.
Tissue's back on the floor. We used to, a place we used to play, they used to throw crying towels every time the opposition coach would do it. They either chuck a big dummy at you or throw a crying towel onto the floor. So only 2 points of difference, so the Bullets obviously that better shooting percentage and their defense that they've done on the Cannons, forcing them only to shoot 20% is helping. And Smythe hasn't been active offensively for some time. He misses. George with the rebound. Bullets have a chance to tie it up now.
All of a sudden it's a different ball game, and I'm feeling a lot happier.
Gee, you blow with the wind, Gary. You gave him up at halftime.
I did. A man of little faith. Bruton.
Great pass off the doors.
George's 2 points, but George's fouled, so that's okay.
You see the value of penetration that time when Cal Bruton, using his skills, gets into the key, and if somebody else picks him up, he can spot that open man. Both he and Phil Smythe do that exceptionally well, and there's a lot of easy pickings out there if you have a guard that can get by his man as easily as those two people can.
John Dorge has a few points for this time of the game, 10 already, and he's shot 2 from 3 from the line. The Canberra Cannons have called a timeout. Still 7 minutes and 43 seconds left in this third quarter. I don't think Brian Curl would be too unhappy about that. It gives him an opportunity to have a chat to the lads. We'll take a commercial break and be back in just a moment. Welcome back to the National Basketball League. The game is the Brisbane Bullets playing the Canberra Cannons, and the scoreline reads 69 to the Canberra Cannons, 59 to the Brisbane Bullets. Rebounds in the third quarter. Interesting, the Bullets have 5 rebounds and the Cannons 3. And I think we're seeing a little more determination from the Brisbane Bullets.
Yes, that's right. The 5 rebounds, of course, are even a better statistic given that Brisbane's shooting much better than Canberra. And I think that what we see here, I think this is a great timeout. As we look at the Brisbane huddle, Brian Krill talking to his charges, but I think it was a very intuitive timeout that Bob Turner took that time. That's one of those things that great coaches have. He felt the momentum slipping away. They were still ahead on the scoreboard, but he says, now's the time to call a timeout. I only get 2.5, but this is a crucial time in the game. We'll see if they come out any better after that timeout.
This one is important for John Dorge and the Bullets. John Dorge has 5 from 6 from the field, 83% and 6 rebounds. He's having a great game. Oh, that's the magic of the Brisbane Bullets. The ball game is tied up at 61 apiece. 7 minutes and 35 seconds left in the third quarter.
Dorge now with 12 points, so he's had a great contribution, and there's more players now participating in the offensive structure for the Bullets.
And the crowd is calling defense. The Brisbane Bullets have scored the last 9 points. This happened at the end of the second quarter, but the Canberra Cannons were the team that scored the last 9. Phil Smythe. The Bullets come away with that. Cal Bruton brings it up the court, and
there's going to be some noise if they score here.
Be a great time for the Brisbane Bullets to score to get ahead. Ron Radcliffe couldn't make himself free. John Dorge, Leroy.
Not much movement on offense.
Free shot from Cal Bruton. It didn't go. John Dorge with a great rebound, and there's the foul called on Phil Smythe. John Dorge will be happy about that. Phil Smythe won't be. Well, that's again. Watch this. Dorge gets it. He's just about to start going up again.
I don't think Phil could complain about the foul. He might have complained about getting slightly manhandled after the foul, but here we have the Brisbane Bullets have a chance to go ahead, Gary, and the Cannons already have 5 team fouls in this quarter, with Brisbane only having 1, so your gloom at halftime is not totally justified at this stage.
It pleases me to see that the game has changed like this.
It's good that you're neutral there, Gary.
I'm neutral as long as the Bullets are winning. Hard to believe that the Canberra Cannons at one stage was 17 points ahead. And now look at that scoreline. 63 to the Bullets, 61 to the Cannons.
Well, in 6 minutes of basketball now, the Cannons have only got 4 points this quarter. That's a lot different than what they did in the first half. Campbell tries to drive, prop sets off the glass, no good. The Bullets have a chance to go further up.
There were 3 Brisbane rebounders with hands to that ball and not one Canberra Cannon player.
They definitely need to go to Crawford a little bit, at least get some relief. Get the ball to him inside like they did early in the game. Go back to the formula that worked.
Ron Radcliffe. The Bullets just taking their time, spinning it around. Leroy Loggins has the ball.
Cannon sitting.
There's the shot. And there's the point. What a great time for that to happen for Leroy Loggins. 65 to the Bullets, 61 to the Canberra Cannons.
Canberra sitting back in their 1-3-1 zone a little bit. Some of the aggression has gone out of their defense, and they're letting the shooters get a good line on the basket.
John George is doing a great job on Campbell. The hands are going everywhere, and as a consequence, Campbell's not getting a good pass. They're getting the ball away. There's Ron Radcliffe with a shot from outside. And all of a sudden, the Brisbane Bullets have come alive, and it's 67 to the Bullets, 61 to the Canberra Cannons.
Foul called on Ron Radcliffe there. It's another good defensive play by Don George. He keyed that fast break by blocking Cockrell's shot. And the Cannons really need to settle down. They need to go back to their good execution. I think that the ball movement is very poor at the moment. When you get a bit stagnant, you got to make that ball zip a little bit. The movement of the ball will encourage the movement of the players.
Let's look at the stats for John George in this quarter. 1 from 1 from the field, 4 from 4 from the line, and 4 rebounds. And Leroy Loggins grabs the rebound and is away. Settling the play down now. Hang on, guys. Let's work this out. The big drive. What a great drive that was from Larry Senstock. Unfortunately, it didn't drop. Phil Smythe comes away with the ball.
Let's see if they go to Crawford. No, they go to Smythe. That was a very quick shot. Again, nobody in rebounding position. And who comes up with the ball?
That's George.
And that's Loggins.
That's another 2 points.
25. And what do? You've already used one of your timeouts, but you certainly need to settle down the Cannon side. And that's good what Phil Smythe's doing at the moment. He's walking the ball up, giving them time to settle themselves mentally. And now let's set up the attack, and they really need to be looking for Crawford.
And there it is again. There's a foul called on Herb McGeechan. And in a way, a professional foul, because that would have been 2 short points for Leroy Loggins. But unfortunately, they've already got the fouls up, so Leroy will go into the line anyway and shoot 1 and 1.
Yes, well, the Brisbane bench is claiming in that case that perhaps intentional foul should be called, because he clearly stopped him going in for a lay-in, but that wasn't to be, so it is a 1-on-1.
There's 4 minutes and 28 seconds left in the quarter. The Cannons have not scored since 10 minutes and 40 seconds. That's amazing. Loggins, 11 from 14 from the line, 12 from 15.
26 points.
And the Bullets now lead by 9 after being 17 down at some stage in the second quarter.
Amazing. The Cannons have only scored 4 points this quarter. The bottom's fallen out of their offense.
Well, the Brisbane Bullets have always been known as a third quarter basketball team.
I think they need to spread the court, put Crawford in that low post area, and go to him a little bit.
I just hope that the Bullets can keep with the action. There's another shot that didn't go. And once again, fortune favouring the Bullets. And the ball just bounces into Leroy Loggins' hands. Ron Radcliffe. The Bullets have scored the last 19 points in the ball game. Leroy again. John George.
Oh, what a great
unbelievable rebound.
16 points. Somebody's put a lid on the Cannons ring, though. There's no lid up there, boys. It will go through. They just have to find the center of the ring.
As I mentioned at the start of the game, I spoke with John George. And he knew that he had to play well tonight. It must have been the spaghetti, and once again, the Bullets come away with the ball. Leroy Loggins from outside. Oh, dear me. Look at the crowd. They love it. I love it. 75 to the Bullets, 61 to the Cannons. How many does Leroy have at this stage of the game, Bill?
29 points.
Following on from his 54 of last week. That's great basketball. James Crawford
working his way inside. He'll be fouled on that. And they really needed to get somebody to the foul line, at least so they can prove to themselves the ball go in. Two of the players there having a word with John Dorge. He's throwing his weight around a little bit. Simon Cockrell doesn't like it. Herb McGeechan doesn't like it.
Look at this again.
George had a good shot at that ball, really. He came very close to blocking it. Crawford 5 for 5 from the line, and these may be the most important foul shots that he's shot because the Cannons need to get their offense back in gear.
Listen to the crowd.
It's the only way that you can shut up a crowd is by scoring those baskets. Cottrell. So that ended up being a three-point play, although in an unusual fashion.
2 minutes and 50 seconds left in the third quarter. The Bullets 75, the Canberra Cannons 64. The Bullets by 11. Ron Radliff drives, passes out to Sibley. Sibley not too sure where to go. He goes to Leroy.
It's usually a pretty good option if you aren't sure where to go. Phil Smythe now working at the end of the break, setting up from behind the three-point line. That's off. Foul called. And I think we'll probably see the foul was called on Robert. Just using his arms a little bit to get that better rebound position. So that was a little bit of a let-off for the Cannons as we see Tim Morrissey, number 11, into the game.
And the last minute or so has just slowed the momentum for the Bullets. The Cannons have scored 3 points.
Cottrell with one of his charging foul called. Does he count the basket? No score.
No score.
Add insult to injury on that one.
Brian Curl agrees. He's tucking his shirt back into his pants.
I bet if we had a vote, between both coaches, it'd be a 1-all draw. But whether that was a good call or not,
I think the right thing to do would be to ask the 7,000 people here.
Oh, that'd be good. That'd be a lopsided vote.
Can't understand why that would happen. Leroy Loggins. We'll shoot from there. Ron Radliff comes away with it again. Cal Bruton. 75 plays 64.
Cannons not in their zone. They're into man-to-man. Loggins with a super athletic move. I hope we have
look at that one again. What a great shot. Cal Bruton's in trouble. Here it is again. Watch this.
Watch Loggins. As he goes up, whack, gets fouled by Cottrell from behind and then flips it in.
Sibley hangs on to the ring for a moment or two.
And we were talking about the team morale and things. Plays like that are worth 4 or 5 points just because it lifts everybody. They look at that, and not only does it lift your team, but the Cannons are saying, how do we stop this guy?
Loggins has 13 from 16. Imagine going to the line that many times in a game. It's like practice time. And he gets the bonus as well.
32 points now for Leroy Loggins.
78 to the Bullets, 64 to the Canberra Cannons. And the record crowd that has turned up here tonight is certainly seeing a great game of basketball. Leroy Loggins with the rebound and throwing his weight, well, what Leroy would call weight around.
Interesting matchup between Cottrell and John Dorge. There were some people that speculated that Dorge should have gone ahead of Cottrell, and they're both aware of that talk. Leroy Loggins with the lay back, lay in,
teasing the crowd.
Mesmerized. He's like that cobra, just mesmerized the Canberra defense. They stood in and just couldn't believe that he was open. Again, we see a foul again. Robert Sibley with another foul. He's on 4 fouls, but I don't think that at this stage Brian Curl would be terribly concerned about that because his team has stamped this game and they're playing it at their momentum. And he'll just keep going with the players now and try and squeeze many points out of the current run that they're enjoying as possible.
It's 1-1 for James Crawford. That was the 4th foul, team foul for the Bullets in this quarter. James Crawford, 7 from 8. Super reliable. 8 from 9.
20 points now to Crawford, and he's by far and away the best offensive scorer for the Cannons.
Ron Radliff. Cal Bruton. Radliff.
Jamie Kennedy was
a foul called.
Foul. Stepping up and into Cal Bruton as he tried to cut the basket. Again, you can't step into a man's path. You have to be there first.
And once again, that'll put the Bullets to the line. The score quarters so far, the Bullets 22 to 50 to 80, and the Cannons who were leading up until about 3 or 4 minutes ago. 30, 50, and so on. Bruton. Oh dear. I think Cal does have a bit of trouble.
We see a technical foul called on Canberra coach Bob Turner. He wasn't happy about something, which is unfortunate, of course, because they had control of the ball at that time, so now they lose the ball. The Bullets get 2 foul shots and get the ball.
You wouldn't think to look at him.
Get the ball back.
He's such a clean-cut young man, Bob, isn't he?
Oh, he's a pretty astute coach, but sometimes just when things are running bad, it's out of your mouth and you say, give it back to me before it hits the referee's ears. But they got pretty good ears sometimes.
Loggins has 15 from 17, make that 16 from 18 at the line. Smidgen over 88%.
35 points. 36 points.
And the Bullets carry on. 82 plays 66.
It's funny with the role reversals. In the first half, we said Brisbane didn't have enough participants in the offense, and now it's the Cannons. They can't find anybody to score. They still have scored less than 10 points this quarter. They've only scored 9 points in this quarter, and we're in the last minute of the quarter.
George to Radcliffe. Looking for someone to pass it to. There's Cal Bruton helping out. 45 seconds left. Ron Radcliffe from way outside, and there's the foul called. No, 3 seconds.
Foul was obviously called on Leroy Loggins, the way he was chasing the referee down the floor. And it's getting fairly rugged inside and quite willing, and the elbows are flying.
Leroy says, hey, man.
I'm cool.
You cool?
I'm cool.
Is that right?
It's his second foul.
Here we go. There's the big pass down to Kennedy.
30 seconds remaining, so the Cannons will have to give Bullets another shot at the ring. Kennedy, nice basket over the top of Radcliffe.
25 seconds left in the third quarter, and what a quarter of basketball we've had here. 82 plays 68. The Bullets coming back from 7 down at the start of the quarter, and they now lead 82-68. They'll look for one good shot here. Cal Bruton will take that one good shot. There's still 6 seconds left. And that's three-quarter time, and the Canberra Cannons nearly scored again. And as the third quarter finishes, the crowd roars its approval. The Canberra Cannons have 68, but that top line is the one to look at. The Brisbane Bullets have 82. We'll take a break, so we're going to have a glass of water and be back for the fourth quarter in just a moment. Welcome back. It's the fourth quarter. The game, the Brisbane Bullets. And the Brisbane Bullets playing the Canberra Cannons. And at half-time, I was not a happy little Vegemite, but things are a lot better now. The Brisbane Bullets lead by 82-68. Bill, that was a good third quarter.
That was a great third quarter. If you're a Bullets fan, it was a very dour and disheartening third quarter for the Cannons. As I said earlier, the bottom simply fell out of their offense. At one stage, the Bullets scored 19 straight points, and the Cannons only imagined 11 points in that entire quarter, and all of a sudden now at the end of 3 quarters, they only have 68 points, and the Bullets are back in line with their good defensive total. It really has been their defense that has made the effect. James Crawford has 20, and 12 to Herb McGeechan, 11 to Jamie Kennedy.
Turnovers are interesting statistics. The Brisbane Bullets have turned it over 140 times in 10 games, and the Cannons have turned it over 196 times in 12 games. And for the Brisbane Bullets, Leroy Loggins, as we keep on saying week after week, seems to turn the ball over a lot, but then he makes a lot of points as well.
Well, it's the same old thing. The player that's scoring the points has the ball in his hand more, and the more you have the ball, the more chance, of course, that you have, or more opportunity that you might have to make a turnover. But going back to the scoring line, Loggins has 36, 14 to Sinstock, 16 to Dorge. And so it has been a game where the defense of the Cannons dominated in the first half, and now we see the defense of the Bullets dominating, and their offense is getting untracked. Kennedy tries one from the bleachers. Doug leads with a follow shot. He can't find the range. Nearly get another one. Dorge gets the rebound, and he's going to get double figures in the rebounds. No worries about that.
John Dorge has been playing exceptionally well. He had to play well tonight, and he hasn't let Coach Brian curl down. Ron Radcliffe not knowing what to do, and all of a sudden he's confronted with more black singlets than he knows what to do with. Leroy Loggins with his turnaround jumper. Larry Senstock, super strong. Waits for everyone else to go up and then goes up last and makes the 2 points. 84 to the Bullets, 68 to the Cannons.
Interesting, the Cannons are almost playing their last ace in the hole because they're putting Phil Smythe on Loggins.
Shooting percentages, the Bullets 51%, the Cannons 43.
That's quite a turnarounder, 10 points, 10% better than they were doing at halftime.
Another rebound to John Dodge.
10% lower for the Cannons than they were shooting at halftime.
Rebounds, Bullets have 32, the Cannons have 27. John Dodge has a fair few of those, as has Larry Senstock. Both those players doing remarkably well. Senstock with 13 rebounds, 6 of them offensive. Ron Radliff takes the score to 87. The Canberra Cannons 68, 19 points. Crawford going to the bucket. Well, Radliff behind him just flicks it away.
We see what happened at the other end. Radliff was quiet when Smythe was blanketing him. Now Smythe has switched over to Loggins, and maybe we'll see Radliff get on track.
Smythe has the ball at the moment. Jamie Kennedy with the shot from outside. There's the rebound, and Loggins has it. And the Bullets are playing with determination and fire. John Dodge has, as you quite rightly said, into the double figures, has 12 rebounds. What a great figure.
Larry Senstock got 13, so the big power that was worrying him in the last game has been more apparent in this game. Larry Senstock picks up a charging foul, and that's his 4th foul.
I think it's important. Let's look at that again. Here it is.
Yes, good call by the official. He was standing there, hands straight up in the air. Larry just lowered the boom on him.
I've always liked that expression. Here we go. James Crawford for the Cannons. We'll go baseline, just pop it up from there. Senstock pulls down a great rebound. Quick pass to Ron Radliff. Radliff waits. Cal Bruton to Senstock. They'll settle it down. There's no need for the Bullets to rush now. They can afford to wait for the good shots. There's Radliff free from the outside. Herb McGeechan flying through the air.
He's been
down the rebound.
Very quiet, McGeechan, after the first quarter. Smythe working on Bruton. That's the general and the colonel working against the colonel. Of course, on the Australian team, that Cal Bruton comes in and replaces Phil Smythe normally.
Bruton. McGeechan. Leroy Loggins finds Senstock. There's Ron Radliff. Out to Cal Bruton, and that drops. 70 points to the Canberra Cannons, 89 to the Brisbane Bullets. Another foul call. Dalglish has another foul called on him, and he is not at all happy.
He's going to get a tech if he doesn't watch it.
Watch it again. That's his 5th foul, so you can kiss him goodbye for the rest of the game.
Didn't see much on the replay. It was a very difficult angle to see exactly what happened there. The danger for the Bullets at this stage is now, of course, is that they try and start sitting on their lead. They say, we're 11 points up, we can win this game. When you do that, you become defensive, and what happens is you lose the rhythm with which you've been playing, and that can be dangerous because the next thing you know, you've lost your momentum. So I think the Bullets obviously need to be a little bit circumspect in their use of the ball, but they also must keep attacking. They can't go into a negative framework.
Still, for all of that, though, 19 points is a fair lead. The Canberra Cannons had 17 at one stage, but they've lost that, so it is possible for the Cannons to come back. But I think that the Bullets have got a roll going now and looking good.
The Gary Fleet kiss of death. Loggins will pick a liar. 38 points to Loggins now.
Oh, what a great pass. Unfortunately, Crawford couldn't quite get his hands to it. Cal Bruton with the intercept. It's to Leroy Loggins. Outside for the 3-point shot. Whoa! And isn't it amazing how a ball game can change, Bill?
Yes, well, the Cannons just all of a sudden, when they were looking so efficient in the first half, particularly the first quarter and early in the second quarter, now have lost all system. They're just going one-on-one stuff. They aren't helping out each other. There's no screens being set.
Another rebound to Senstock.
Cottrell, you wouldn't back him in a dribbling race, and away comes the little fellow. That's probably God's own way. He meant little fellows to do the dribbling, not the big fellas.
94 plays 70. That's a lead of 24 points for the Brisbane Bullets. Phil Smythe brings it up. Quick pass to Herb McGeechan, who passes it to Crawford. That was a great pass and a well-deserved 2 points. That was clever stuff.
22 points for Crawford. Been a long time since he scored. Only 7.5 minutes remaining to play. The Cannons, if they want to have any chance at all, must be out pressing. They've got to guard this Brisbane team all over the floor. So what if you lose by 30? It's the only way that you're going to get back into the game.
It's absolutely wonderful looking around this crowd. Listen to them. The Southern Comfort support crowd. There's thousands of them here. McGeechan to Smythe. McGeechan again from outside. It doesn't drop.
Cottrell got that one.
Cottrell's big hand goes up.
Cottrell now with 8 points. McGeechan 12. Crawford 22. Smythe 9. Kennedy 11. For the Bullets, of course, Loggins 38. George 16. Larry Sinstock 16.
Score by quarters. The Bullets win 22, 50, 82, and are now 94. The Cannons 30, 57, 68, and a 74. The game has changed around.
Understatement of the year.
Oh, yeah.
They could shoot blindfolded. Their confidence is running so high now. For Ron Radcliffe, that's 9 points.
John Dorje. Oh,
It's a good thing that didn't connect. He would have needed a nose job for sure. After that, Cottrell forces one up over Sinstock, and it goes down. 10 points to Cottrell.
It's a fairly bony sort of an elbow that Campbell's got himself there. John Dorje showing remarkable speed to pull his nose out of the way.
There's a lot of leverage behind that swing, too, let me tell you.
Oh, what a wonderful pass.
Smythe trying to anticipate. He fronted him and saw the lob pass coming in, tried to quickly reverse position, get behind him, and knocked Leroy's legs out from under him as he was in the air. We see a good shot on it on replay.
They're calling substitutions left, right, and centre here. Well, I'm glad I said what I said at half-time. Maybe it just had the desired effect.
I'm sure they were listening.
But I would not have put money on the score being 96 to the Bullets, 76 to the Canberra Cannons with only 6 minutes and 12 seconds left.
You wouldn't have put money on Brisbane winning at all, Gary. Let's be honest.
At half-time, I wouldn't. I'd like to now...
Oh, you'd like to retract that. Out there in the airways somewhere, those words are still floating around. Go out and get a butterfly net and pull them in.
Yeah,
I'll never let you forget it.
But I'm happy. I'm happy that the Bullets are in the lead. John Dorje sort of giving his elbow a little bit of practice there.
He's had a great game, John Dorje. Really, I think he was out to prove a point tonight, and I think he probably proved his point.
Leroy Loggins has 11 from 25 from the field, which is 44%. He has 6 rebounds, 17 from 19 from the free throw line, and that is 89%. Leroy having another great game tonight, following up his 54 of last week, and he goes to the line again.
38, he's looking at a 40-point game. He'll get a 40-point game, another one.
The man who lives on hamburgers and Coke.
I don't think they'll count that. That was a free practice shot. Some confusion there on the bench. I'm not too sure what it's all about, but the referees will straighten it out. Brian Krill's giving the referees and the score bench some help. I'm sure they appreciate that.
Well, Brian's that sort of a guy. He's
very friendly that way.
More than happy to come out and help the referees at any stage. Just the sort of a guy that he is.
Ball from the side. It was not a shooting foul. If you recall, Loggins was trying to receive a pass when he was fouled. So that was a pretty good stooge on the part of Leroy Loggins. I'm sure he was quite aware that wasn't a shooting foul.
That was worth a try.
Yeah, it was too.
Well, Leroy almost lost it, but those long hands came out again. But then he lost it when he passed it to Cal Bruton. And there's the foul called on Leroy Loggins.
See, that was an interesting one. I'd like to see that because I think Herb McGeechan just shoved him out of the way. Leroy was chasing him down. Here we'll see it on replay. Now you watch McGeechan. Loggins hasn't hit him. McGeechan's just shoved him away. We couldn't see it from that angle, but nevertheless, Bullet fans are happy anyway. Three-pointer by Smythe.
Leroy Loggins with a fantastic rebound.
Get down, fellas. I'll bring the ball up myself.
In fact, I might even shoot it myself.
Yes, that's what they call the number 1 play. Number 1. That means me from coast to coast.
Just love it when a plan comes together. Chris McGraw.
It's amazing. The Bullets are doing the pressing now. They're well ahead, and the Cannons aren't doing any pressing. I don't understand it at this stage. So probably Bobby Turner feels that the game might be a little bit out of their reach, and certainly there isn't. They don't have anything going for them at the moment, the Cannons. Crawford trying to end off this steal. He loses the ball again. The big fella trying to dribble. Doesn't come off all that well. Cal Bruton gets the ball, and the Bullets will settle down again. Leroy Loggins, he's hit his 40 points. He wants a breather. He'll get one, too, and there'll be a big ovation for him when he leaves the floor.
And quite rightly so. Loggins. McGraw. It looks like he's carrying an extra couple of kilos again. Loggins from the outside. Larry Senstock. There's a foul called on him, and I have a sneaking suspicion that's his fifth.
I have a sneaking suspicion he won't care. He's on his way to Spain, and his last game in Australia looks like eventuating for a big win with the Brisbane Bullets over their traditional rivals, the Canberra Cannons.
Good luck in Spain, Larry. He deserves to play well. A great ambassador not only for his sport, but for Queensland and for the Brisbane Bullets. A worthy captain.
Actually, that substitution for Leroy wasn't orchestrated well. It should be quiet, and then you sub so everybody sees Leroy walking off the court, and the crowd can go bananas.
Stats for Larry Senstock, 9 from 23, which gives him 39%. That's nothing to write home to Grandma about, but the 15 rebounds that he's got has had a big bearing on this game.
It's only Andy Campbell's fourth point. You probably, for a fella his side, you'd want to get a bit more offensive output. He's done a reasonable job on the boards, but in the scoring department, he probably wouldn't be very satisfied with his game. He has a chance to make a three-point play, and he does.
He does a very good impression of an empty milk bottle, that guy.
What does that mean?
Well, you know what a milk bottle looks like. It's fairly tall, sort of skinny things.
I think an empty straw might be more appropriate.
Or one of those fancy straws with a kink in it halfway up. Tom Gerhardt is on for Larry Senstock. McGraw. He talks Campbell into that one. Campbell was gone for all the money in the world.
Best fake in the world, of course, is if you can fake a shot and get your defensive man to leave the feet. Well, he isn't going to change direction when he's in the air, and you've got to have him at your mercy.
98 to the Brisbane Bullets, 79 to the Canberra Cannons. There's still 4 minutes left in the ball game. McGraw. And the Brisbane Bullets are going to have to watch it here. They can't afford to slack. They get away with that.
Yes, I'm not too sure whether the Cannons, they've lost all their confidence. I don't think that they have it within them now to pull it back. They're a great team. They were so efficient in the first half. It really is a surprising turnaround. Great screen by Danny Morsu. Just blitzes Jacob Kennedy. A three-pointer by Rod Bradley.
And Morrissey is hurting. He just did not see that at all. He just ran straight into it.
Well, he set a back screen. He turned his rear end on the guy. He was stationary. It was a legal screen, but that's a hard thing to fall into. Kennedy says, I'm all right. Watch me shoot. Crawford, been a long time since we see him get the ball that close to the basket. He finishes off with his follow-in shot. 24 points for Crawford. Again, he really tops the scoring list. He doesn't have much competition. Herb McGeechan has 12, but after the first quarter, he's been relatively quiet. Jamie Kennedy has popped in for a few points. He's got 11, and Simon Cottrell 10. 25 to Crawford.
9 from 10 from the line. The Bullets have sneaked over the 100 mark. 101 plays 82. 19 points the difference with 3 minutes and 30-odd seconds left. The Bullets will be feeling happier. Danny Morsu driving through the middle and puts it in for two. Well, what a great game of basketball this has been. At halftime, I wouldn't have given you tuppence for the Brisbane Bullets.
We're trying to forget that.
So remind me not to say that.
No more. Maybe people will forget that you said that the Bullets didn't have a chance. They were out of it.
Having read a couple of books on psychology, I can now tell you, Bill, that I said that deliberately.
They weren't listening, though. I mean, you didn't have to convince me. I don't care.
Oh, there it is. Did not go in. But the Cannons come away with it again. Morrissey from the outside.
Kennedy.
I beg your pardon, Kennedy, and swish.
14 now to Kennedy. So he's popped in, I think, 3 3-pointers. So he's done a fairly reasonable job, but there just haven't been enough Cannon players in this second half.
Ron Radliff bringing the ball up under pressure. Tom Gerhardt inside to Leroy Loggins, and that was goaltending. And the points count.
And it's 42 to Loggins. Of course, the ball's above the ring on the way down. You can't touch it. Crawford, he's fouled. Fouls on Chris McGraw. So we've seen the Bullets, whatever they were doing defensively, they kept the ball out of Crawford's hands as much as possible. And there wasn't much other offense in the game other than Crawford, and it's been a frustrating second half for James Crawford.
And the first one drops.
26 points.
You couldn't see it at home, but the crowd behind the backboard is doing everything they possibly can, waving everything and anything to stop Crawford making it, and it worked.
Oh, it's so good to play at home in the National Basketball League. All those fans just helping you put off the other team as much as possible. That's what it's about.
Outside to Loggins, he'll shoot that. Take the 2 points. Loggins to 44 points.
He liked the feel of that 50-point game last week. He'll like to see a few more from him. He'll pick up a foul on this one. So Loggins has 4 personal fouls now. He won't be overly concerned.
2 minutes and 11 seconds left in the ball game, and what a game of basketball we've had. The National Basketball League on TVO. The Brisbane Bullets playing the Canberra Cannons. Kennedy is 3 from 5, 4 from 6. And once again, the crowd in the background giving it everything.
They even have the trombones down there now.
Well, that's why those trombones have got those long bits on the end.
And I hope they don't get him over the baseline a little bit. That gets a little bit rude when you get poked by a trombone slide.
There's
Gerhardt.
There's the drive from Tom Gerhardt.
He's a little floater jumper.
Held on to it till the last minute, waited till the opposition went by. Phil Smythe knew that wasn't on.
Leroy.
Here we go, watch the stuff. Yeah, boom! Let's look at that again.
1-1-1.
Here we go, watch it.
And they've got another chance with Danny Morsu. He won't dunk it, neither will Ron Radliff, but it's 2 points nevertheless. Not as spectacular, but it counts for the same amount. 14 points now.
We love Ronnie the Rat, that's what it says, and we do. 113 to the Bullets, 88 to the Cannons. Well, I enjoyed last week's game. There's plenty of points scored in last week's game. The Bullets didn't get up. Tonight I enjoyed the game again. And it looks like the Bullets are going to clean it up. And the Brisbane Bullets call a timeout. Brian Curl looks a very happy man. The Brisbane Bullets cheer team comes out onto the court. Dave Nelson is smiling. He's even loosened his tie. Things are looking good.
I think that's one of those non-strategic timeouts that the coach can say to everybody, hey, this is my team. Think about that for 60 seconds.
Watch this again. Here's the pass to Leroy. He had it all sorted out, and it was all over. Even in slow motion, that looked fast. What a great shot. Leroy Loggins likes to do that at least once in the game, and that was the first opportunity he's really had to do that.
Might even be in his contract, I think.
Possibly. Loggins has 15 from 16 from the field. 16 from 19 from the line, which gives him 84%. The score by quarters. The Bullets, 22 in the first quarter, 50 in the second, 82 in the third, and already sit on 113 with just 55 seconds left in the fourth quarter. The Cannons, who were leading right through until the third quarter, now only have 90 points.
Look at that third quarter, only 9 points. That was certainly the difference of the game.
9 points in 12 minutes.
11 points, I'm sorry.
Unbelievable, really. Full court press. 50 seconds left. Ron Radliff to Leroy Loggins.
Phil Smythe certainly isn't giving up. He'll fight this game right out to the end. Doctor Who, Danny Morrisou, can't find it. Smythe off to Kennedy. He just had 1 foot over the three-point line. Doesn't go. Morrisou knocking it out of bounds.
And the ball goes to the Canberra Cannons. Phil Smythe. What a great pass to Campbell. Campbell just sort of holds on to it with one hand. It's quite impressive. Guys with the longest fingers in the world. 27 seconds left. Campbell has the amazing figures of 1 from 1 from the line.
Well, that's pretty accurate.
He still has 100%. 2 from 2.
6 points.
Look at the action off the backboard. 3 from 3. Danny Morrisou. It's a 2-on-2. No, slow it down. Ron Radliff. McGraw. McGraw hasn't had one shot from the outside tonight. Ten seconds left. And the consolation two to the Canberra Cannons.
18 points.
Quick pass down to. And that's the ball game. Whoa! And look at the crowd. Look at them. The beloved Brisbane Bullets have got up. All week they were saying that perhaps the Canberra Cannons would knock them off. Brian Curl's happy. He can now hit the champagne and not worry about the trip tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock. He and Larry Senstock and Cal Bruton have got to be on that plane to Spain. But they're all happy. The 7,000 people here at the Brisbane Entertainment Centre have had a great game of basketball.
What a great win to the Brisbane Bullets. They trailed the Cannons in the first 2 quarters. And at half-time, coach Brian Curl looked to be a very worried man. But a great third-quarter turnaround and a powerhouse finish clinched a very important game for the Brisbane Bullets. With comments from the coaches, let's join Gary Fleet and Bill Palmer.
With me, the winning coach, Brian Curl. Well, after last week's performance, Brian, I'm happy to be speaking to you tonight, and I guess you're a happy man with winning tonight and having to leave tomorrow.
Well, like I said to the guys all week, it was going to be a long trip for me tomorrow if we went away and lost tonight, and I asked them for that consideration, that if they could win for him, makes that 38-hour flight or whatever it is a lot more enjoyable. But really it went back to last Sunday when I called the extra training session, and then on Monday night we had another training session as well. So we had an extra 4.5 hours training this week than we normally had, and I just asked the guys for that extra commitment, and really I guess it just goes back to like the grand final. If you play defence, you'll win the tough games, and really that's what won the game for us.
Well, I think all in one word, momentum. You were 17 points up in the second quarter and the wheels fell off.
Well, I think it's really frustrating. We did have the game, and we went away from our composure. We lost our composure, went away from our game plan. Didn't run our offense. We went one pass, one option offense. And that doesn't win ball games. So when you're missing, and then Larry and John Dorge started getting the rebounds, we don't get that momentum. And they closed it to 7 at halftime, and that hurt us.
Well, congratulations once again to coach Brian Curl. It makes his current tour with the Australian team just that much more enjoyable. Well, results in the World Basketball Championship currently being held in Spain. And Australia off to a fine start, having defeated Cuba 72-66 before a capacity crowd at the Ferrol Sports Pavilion in Madrid. Spain put down France 85-80 after a difficult defensive tug-of-war in the A Pool game. Italy easily defeated China 98-87, China paying the price for an inadequate defence strategy. Argentina defeated the Netherlands 82-75 in a well-balanced match. The teams had to play 5 minutes of extra time to break the tie. The Argentinians reacted well, and with fast attacks and good defence, beat the tired Dutchmen. Well, that concludes our coverage of basketball for tonight. But join us again next week when we bring you the match between the West End 36ers and the Perth Wildcats from Apollo Stadium. Until then, it's good night from 10 Sport.
Next on 10 is our final program for this evening, Mission Impossible.
Tonight's NBL Australian Basketball was brought to you by West End Beers.